Welcome to Mavericks with Marty. Mavericks are independent thinkers. They think outside the box. They're people that don't bow to peer pressure. Basically, people like me. In this podcast, we don't shy away from difficult topics. We tackle all the things that you're not supposed to talk about in polite conversation. In the first episode, we talk about politics and dark money in politics and the nitty gritty. In the second episode, we talk about race and Black Lives Matter. In the third episode, I talk with two street artists and we talk about the challenges of being a professional artist. And in the fourth episode, I chat with a liberal member of the media. In my first four guests on the podcast, I talk with former Congressman Mark Walker, and we have a very open and honest discussion about the backroom dealings that go on and the shady side of politics, the dark money that gets involved.
If you look at throughout our history, it is the Mavericks who made history. It's the ones not just trying to buck the system, but just to say, you know what, we don't have to be conformist here. And that's really not that you do it just because of that reason, but it takes courage to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to accept that deal. And because there's usually a price to pay if you don't.
In a conversation with Reverend Odell Cleveland, Bill Goebel, and Deshaun Adams, and among the four of us, it's two white Republicans and two black Democrats, we have a very open and honest conversation about race. And we talk about how you have difficult conversations across political aisles and across demographics.
Changing our lenses on our ability to communicate. And Marty made a point earlier, and I don't know if we were taping it, but he was talking about when there's confrontation and how he approaches it. He doesn't approach it personal. He talks about the things, okay? And in that way, it takes, the person doesn't get feeling they're being attacked and they have to start attacking back.
And like Bill told me once, he said, Odell, 10 years ago, me and you couldn't do this show. 10 years ago, we couldn't talk about some of the tough issues we talk about now.
It was a process.
Yeah.
It was a process. It didn't happen overnight. But it takes real trust. Real trust.
With street artists Jenna Rice and Doug Kaysen, we talk about what it takes to be a professional artist. And how do you deal with keyboard cowboys, those haters out there that like to troll you?
You know what? I think that your artwork should offend at least somebody, in order for it to have an impact. It's not artwork unless it speaks for something or someone. And I feel like that's super important. And if our artwork is controlled one day for whatever reason, and we're told we can only paint this, this, and this, that will destroy our creative input, and we're going to lose everything.
In my conversation with Joe Killian from NC Policy Watch, we talk about UNC and recent controversies. Now, this is a guy that normally the punchline for his stories are Republicans are bad. And a lot of people shy away from talking to him. But I've got nothing to hide. And if someone wants to ask me why I make a decision, I'm going to tell them.
So, like, when we say canceled, I always ask people, like, honestly, not because I'm trying to be an asshole. What do you mean by that? Like, what is the real consequence of saying a controversial thing?
I'm looking forward to taking this journey with you. I started this simply because I wanted to capture a part of me and share that for posterity, and to share that with you, the listeners, and let you have a glimpse into my way of thinking and the different people that I'm going to have on the show, what they think. Some of whom agree with me on certain things, others don't. But what they all have in common is this: they are all independent thinkers, and they're mavericks in their own way. This will be a weekly podcast. We're going to release about 4 to start with in short order, and then we're going to release 1 per week. I've recorded 12 already, so we've got a fair amount to work with. But with editing and everything else, and a shout out to Brody with Just Play and Chris Kassam with Kassam Creative, we've got this launched out, and I hope you'll follow along with us and join in the conversation.